Okay, hey and welcome. My name is Jetta Magenta, and in today's video we're going to look at how to create a fire farm. This tutorial will explain the necessary tools and options in brief detail and show you how to build a fire farm of your own, which can be a fun and interesting process. If you'd like to read these instructions in text form, you can check out my written version of the guide on the Homecoming forums under the username Electrolyte. Without further ado, let's jump in. Assuming you're already a bit familiar with Architect Entertainment, the first thing you're going to do is open the AE Browse and Play catalog. In the top right hand corner of the catalog, click Create a New Mission. This will open the mission creation page. One of the first things you'll see is the orange Show Errors icon in the upper right hand corner of the page. Clicking this will show you all of the criteria that must be met for your map to be considered playable. Keep an eye on this as you work, as it will help you know the creation progress of your map and what settings you still need to adjust. Next, let's look at story settings. While it's up to you what you want to call your fire farm and how you want to describe it, it's helpful if your story title and story description suggest the fact that this is a fire farm. A title as simple as Superperson's Fire Farm helps people to know this information as soon as your farm appears in the search results. The story contact is the person who the player will receive the mission from. Enter a contact name, then choose a contact type. This can be anything from a standard contact to an object, or you can even create your own. Creating a custom contact is just like creating a character in normal creation mode, with the additional choice of a rank and power sets. Since this contact will not be a part of the mission in any other capacity, let's go ahead and keep them defaulted to a person with no power sets. From there, feel free to get creative. Once you're done, move to the Register tab. In the Enter Name Here box, give your contact a name. In the Enter Group Here box, name the enemy group your contact will belong to. This is just a generic term for the general group your contact will be affiliated with. You can make it as simple as contacts. After you finish, click Save and Continue. The custom character group and custom character name should autofill with your new contact in their group, but if not, go ahead and use the drop-down list to select your custom contact. Alright, let's discuss mission settings next. Under Choose Mission Settings, let's choose your enemy group. These are the mobs that will populate your map. Click Custom, then Edit Custom Group. In the Custom Group Creator, you'll see all, if any, of the mobs and groups you've created in the past. Let's start creating a new group of mobs for your fire farm by clicking Create Character. You'll see that you've entered character creation mode, beginning with the choice of a rank. For custom character rank, choose Boss. For fighting preference, choose Melee. For flight power, choose None. Your next step is to select the character's primary and secondary sets. Since this is a fire farm, we're going to give your boss a fire-based primary and secondary. That said, we are only going to give your boss enough powers to max out its experience value percentage rating to 100%. Each power you select adds to that percentage, increasing it as you increase the difficulty of the enemy. Note that you can add more powers to the mobs if you want a bit of a challenge, but for a quick and easy farm, you want only the minimum amount of powers necessary to get the 100% experience value. For primary sets and available power sets, choose Tanker. Under the Tanker power set, choose Fiery Melee. In the Custom Character Powers box, deselect all preset power choices. Now select the powers Scorch, Fire Blast, Cremate, Build Up, Incinerate, and Breath of Fire. For secondary sets, in available power sets, choose Tanker. Under the Tanker power set, choose Super Reflexes. In the Custom Character Powers box, deselect all preset power choices. Now select the Quickness power. Pay careful attention to the detailed power info provided in the rightmost box. Here you will see if the powers you choose contain knock, stun, or any damage that is not fire. In the case of a traditional fire farm, your mob should possess only powers that are fire damage. Note that Cremate in Fiery Melee contains 0.95 knock magnitude, which might require slotting a knockback protection enhancement. A great remedy to this is slotting Blessing of the Zephyr into your travel power, like Super Jump. The 4 points of knockback protection are enough to resolve any issues Cremate will present. Now we're going to choose the body and costume of your boss. This is very similar to normal character creation mode. Once we're done, we'll move to the Register tab. In the Enter Name Here box, give the boss a name. In the Enter Group Here box, name the enemy group the boss will belong to. This is the enemy group to which all your mobs will ultimately belong. Click Save and Continue. Let's finish by creating the lieutenant and minion mobs. Repeat all the steps we followed for creating the boss with the following settings. I think I should note here that ultimately these power selections are a preference rather than an exact formula. I have seen other fire farms with power sets that differ from what I have prescribed in this tutorial. This particular setup works well for me, and I hope it will be just as viable for others. However, there is no harm in experimenting with other power choices and seeing what clicks. Now that your enemy group is complete, let's save this group in the Custom Group Creator by hitting the check mark in the top left corner of the Creator. As this enemy group will be saved locally to your computer, you might name it something like HC_enemy_1 or something easy to remember. I accidentally chose the wrong group here, but I do fix this mistake later by selecting Bob's Nemesis instead. Gosh, that spelling. Next, let's discuss mission settings and maps. After closing out the Custom Group Creator, you'll see the next setting is Map Type. Click inside the drop-down box labeled None Selected. As you can see, you've got a lot of choices for map layouts. While you are free to explore and find a map on your own, for this farm, let's choose a tried and true map called the Shiva Fragment. To find this map, we'll need to filter through the other choices. Scroll down through the alphabetically listed options and click Unique Maps. You'll see that 2 new options have appeared, Category and Map. For Category, choose Unique. For Map, choose Shiva Fragment. Now let's take a look at the Mission 1 Settings Summary. Here you will see an overview of the settings you have selected as well as a visual preview of the map you have chosen. Under Choose Mission Settings, you'll see that the description lists the mission map details. The information we need to know is how many allowed any detail types there are. We can see there are 16 allowed any detail types. This is important to note for a setting we're going to look at later. Next, let's check out Mission Settings, Mission Text. Skipping down to Write Text, let's fill in the necessary dialog boxes. This is the dialogue that will be spoken by your contact. Mission Introduction Dialogue is the opening script that the contact speaks to the player, and it can be anything you want it to be. I like to add a little bit of story, but it's up to you. Mission Send-Off Dialogue is what the contact tells your player after they've accepted the mission. The Compass Active Task only has to be a few words, as this is a fire farm, and by the time the player is on the map, they'll have a pretty good idea of what to do. In the event that the player leaves the mission prematurely and speaks to the contact again, the still busy dialogue will be what they read. Here you can either reiterate your instructions to the player or offer just a word or two. Return Success dialogue can also be short and to the point. In additional text, I usually skip all the options except one, Mission Accept Text. This is where you can customize your response to the contact when they ask you to accept the mission. It's no problem if you're good with the default accept, but it can be fun to get a little creative. Next up is Mission Settings, Basic Mission Goals. You'll notice that the objective, Fight a Boss, has the number 16 beside it in parentheses. This means that 16 enemy groups of this particular objective type are allowed to be placed on the map you have chosen. Because the Shiva Fragment allows any detail type, you are not limited to placing only 1 or 2 types of objectives on your map. Some maps, however, are more particular about which objective types they allow. That is why it's important to always pay attention to the description in Mission 1 Setting Summary when choosing a map. The numbers you see there will be reflected here in the mission goals. Here we are going to insert the enemy group you created earlier by clicking the Custom tab, which is located beside the Standard tab. At this point, I'm just so annoyed that I double saved my enemy groups, but for right now, we're just going to choose Bob's Nemesis over HC Enemy 1. Next, in the Custom Character Name drop-down box, select the boss you created. A visual preview of your enemy has appeared to the right-hand side, as well as a list of information based on the settings you've selected thus far. The next thing you might notice is the little gold star located just below the boss settings title. Beside the star is a button labeled Required for Mission Completion. Make certain to hit that button so the star disappears. You want to be sure that no matter how many objectives you create, you always deselect Required for Mission Completion. There is only one exception to this rule, and we'll get to that shortly. Next, let's look at quantity. This is the number of enemy groups you want to place on your map. Remember that the Fight a Boss objective was labeled with a 16, which means you can only place 16 enemy groups on this particular map. Change enemy group difficulty to hard. Now we'll go back to basic mission goals and choose Collect an Object. This is the glowing object you will find on the map that players use to easily complete the mission and exit once they've cleared the mobs. It's important to choose something for the collection name that informs the player this object is for exiting the mission. It is the only objective in your farm that will have the golden star marking it as required for mission completion, thus it will appear in your compass active task as 1 glowy for exit. For collection type, choose floor. For a collection object, you may choose any object you'd like to be the glowy, though I'd recommend either the barrel Biohazard or Machine Tech 1. In any case, you want something that is easy to spot. Now let's look under settings. The golden star marking this objective as required for mission completion should remain as is. Skipping to interact time, replace the 4 with a 0. Interact time determines how many seconds it takes the glowy to respond to a click and allow you to exit the mission. Since we want it to respond instantaneously without the chance to be interrupted by pesky enemies, you should always make sure to set that interact time to 0. This was the last setting required to make your map. You should now see a gray No Errors icon at the top right corner of the page. If the icon is still orange, read the error text carefully and scroll back through these instructions to learn how to fix it. Okay, you're ready to test your map. Let's look at using test mode and other options. You should always test your map at least once before publishing it to be certain it is working as intended. Before testing the map, make sure your notoriety is set at whatever your preference is. Hit the Save and Test icon beside the Save options at the top left corner of the page. And if you forgot to save the file like I did up until this point, it will ask you to save the file to your computer as a local file. This will prompt a dialog box warning you that you're about to enter Architect testing mode. While you are in this mode, you will not receive any earnings, such as money, recipes, etc., or badges for defeating enemies or completing objectives. A map must be published for you to gain any reward from it. Accept the mission from your contact and enter the mission via the mission portal. While in testing mode, you are simply making certain that everything functions properly and that nothing seems to be bugged. If you want to explore the map without aggro from the mobs, click Architect Options in your Compass active task and toggle Invisibility. Or, if you want to see how much damage the mobs take without receiving any damage in return, toggle Invincible. After you've had a good look around your map and determined that nothing seems askew, find the glowy and click it to leave. Once you're back in AE, speak to your contact to end the mission and exit testing mode. Now it's time to publish your map. Bring up the Browse and Play catalog, then click the My Creations tab. You'll see your new map in the My Local Stories folder. Select your map, then click Publish. You'll see that your map has now appeared in the My Published Stories folder. Here is where all of your published stories will be stored as you continue creating new maps. Now everyone who accesses the mission catalog can look up your fire farm in the search engine and play it. They can even rate your fire farm and leave a comment. Okay, you're all set. You've got your fire farm published and ready to play. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful in creating your own map. These instructions can be applied to any layout, not just the Shiva fragment map that we used in this tutorial. While this was a very basic guide on how to build a fire farm, it should be a good foundation for building upon with additional knowledge that you learn about Architect Entertainment. I am still a novice myself at utilizing all the options of this complex creation engine, so I didn't want to dive too deep into specifics that I have limited understanding of. If you have any comments or questions, please feel free to leave them down below. Thanks for watching, enjoy your new fire farm, and see you next time.